shaking. A lot of people might get upset about this video, but I don't give a shit. I'm gonna speak my piece, and I'm gonna keep it all the way above. So, earlier today, me and a coworker were having a conversation about an individual, a security guard. And, you know, I was explaining to my coworker why I don't use that bathroom where the security guard works, because he has a nasty attitude. So I go elsewhere to use the restroom. So he makes it, now, for all those who don't know, my parents are Hispanic. I could be considered Hispanic, but I don't consider myself to be Hispanic. I consider myself to be Garifuna, which is another story. I'll explain it a little later. So he commences to make a remark that went in the lines like, you know how those black motherfuckers are. Now, I immediately got offended. And I was like, wait. Slow it down. You crossing the line. So he says to me, why are you offended? You're not black. So I had to explain it to him. For his information, I am black. I don't know what type of eyeballs you're using, but I am black. He says, you're not black, you're Hispanic. Listen, my man, I am black. Before anything, I am black. Before I open my mouth, I'm black. And the fact that my parents derive from a Hispanic country doesn't take away from the fact that I'm fucking black. It doesn't fucking matter if you was born in Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, China. If you have this skin tone, you're fucking black. Period. And I am tired. I'm tired, and I'm going to tell you why I'm tired. Of the disrespect that Hispanics have towards African Americans. And I'm going to tell you why. How dare you come to this country and reap the benefits of the things that African Americans fought for? People lost their lives in order for me, my mother, my father, my siblings, to come here. In order to allow me to be born here, my mother had to come here and work and reap the benefits of the things that African Americans fought for and died for. You understand what I'm saying? It's disgusting to me that someone would come here and because they speak a different language, or, you know, they have the certain drive to do certain things, they look down on African Americans. That shit is disgusting. Why? And I'm going to explain it to you. African Americans were slaves for over 400 fucking years in this country. Now, people say slavery. Oh, let me explain to you in depth what slavery was for African Americans. Slavery was rape of women, children, and men. 18-hour workdays, 7 days a week. Slavery means people were lynched. If any of you Hispanics don't know what being lynched means, that means when someone ties a rope around your neck and hangs you from a fucking tree until your neck snaps. Black people were burned to death. Women were raped, gang raped by their masters because they belonged to them. They were property. They weren't human beings. Children were raped. Men were raped. And I'm going to take it even further. Do you guys know where the word motherfucker comes from? The word motherfucker comes from, if I'm not mistaken, from breeding farms that they used to have in Virginia. A breeding farm is a place where they would breed black people. Because they didn't want to spend any more money on buying them, they started breeding them. So if I was a strong slave and my mother was a strong slave, they would make me sleep with my mother to have a child. And whoever they seemed it fit for me to sleep with, they would put me to sleep with my mother, my sister. That's what used to go on during slavery. That is what African Americans had to go through. Now, after fucking slavery, hey, things are supposed to be peaches and cream. Absolutely not. Black people weren't allowed to work, and if they did work, they had to be manual work at almost to no pay. People were still being lynched, dragged out of their fucking house in the middle of the night, and hung from trees, burned alive. Women walking from the store, just snatched up and raped, gang raped by white men, and then killed. People's houses was burned down. This happened for over 100 years after slavery. African Americans just got all of us of color the ability to vote 50-something years ago. Because after slavery, African Americans were not allowed to vote for anything. You didn't have any rights. So for Hispanics to come here and reap the benefits of the shit that African Americans endured and worked and died for, that shit is disgusting. And I don't think that it is right for someone to come here and have that type of mentality and that type of attitude. And they don't even know the history of the people that made it possible for you to come here and have the type of job that you have. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if African Americans did not stand up for themselves and stand up for what was right, I would not be able to drive a fucking bus. My son would not be able to go to the school where he goes to now. A lot of people of color would not be allowed to drink at a certain fucking fountain. Forgot that one. I forgot that part. During Jim Crow, blacks were not allowed to live in certain neighborhoods. Blacks couldn't eat in certain restaurants. These are the things that African Americans fought hard for in order for us to be able to sit in the front of the fucking bus. Because back then, a black person couldn't sit in the front of a bus. And even if a black person was sitting in the back, if a white person came on the bus, legally, by law, the black person had to give them their seat. And so for a Hispanic person to come up to me and tell me, why are you so upset? You're not black. That shit enrages me and it offends me. And I automatically put him in his place. One, because I am fucking black. And just because yo hablo español no significa que yo me puedo put myself aside porque yo vivo en este país. I live in this country. I grew up with African Americans. I love them. I respect them. Yes, they are African Americans that don't do shit, don't want to do shit, don't want to go to school, don't want to work, they don't want to do shit. But let me inform you, there are Hispanics who don't want to go to school, who don't want to work, who want to be criminals, who are criminals. There are ancient people with every type of fucking ethnic or racial background. So for you to sit here and talk like you have a bunch of jewels in your culture, my nigga, shut the fuck up. So, with that being said, I'm going to tell y'all this. Yes, to all the Hispanics, educate yourself. Have some fucking respect. Know your own history. and know the history of the people that you're judging and making comments about. Because you motherfuckers went through your own shit, and because you magically forgot what y'all went through on your little island where they dropped you off when they snatched you out of Africa, and then you got mixed with a little Spaniard and some Taino Indian, now you want to think you better than anybody else. No, motherfucker. Let me explain something to you. You will be racially profiled just like I am, just like an African American is, just like an Arab is. You will be racially profiled. Till this day, there will be situations where you will not be able to move in certain circles because of the tone of your skin and because of the language that you fucking speak. Being Hispanic does not make you better than anybody else on this fucking earth. Just because you speak Spanish. I speak Spanish. I am better than no one on this planet. I respect everyone. All races.
Attention, all BX36 operators.
Being Hispanic.
BX36 operators. We have westbound store.
Give me a second.
Temporary construction. And
Being Hispanic, let me tell y'all something. There's this shit where Hispanics have this shit where, especially Dominicans, I ain't even gonna front. And not all Dominicans are like this, but I'm gonna tell y'all what it is. So now, we all Dominican, so now we're all gonna band together and look out for each other, but we're not gonna look out for the other people that have our same skin tone, but they just don't speak Spanish. That shit is whack. And people have approached me to be part of shit like that. And I turn it down because you know why? I want to be respected as a human being. Not because I want to be respected and looked out for as a human being. Not because I speak fucking Spanish. That shit is disgusting to me. I don't want no parts of shit like that. You dig what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the first thing I acknowledge is my skin tone. I am a black man of a strong and rich heritage, which is Garifuna. I don't consider myself to be Hispanic. For those Garifunas who do, that's on you. But I'm going to explain it to you why before I let y'all go. Garifunas are not Hispanic, first and foremost. And the reason for that is before we showed up to Honduras, before Honduras was even Honduras, we were there. We had already showed up there. We showed up there with our own language, not knowing the lick of Spanish, with our own culture and all our shit together. We happened to learn Spanish because we were exiled from St. Vincent, so we had to learn Spanish. So now for 120-some years, we've been speaking Spanish alongside Garifuna. And it's unfortunate of the fact that a lot of us would prefer to speak Spanish instead of Garifuna because they find it embarrassing. I am not embarrassed of who I am. I am a Garifuna American. Raised in the United States, born and raised in the United States. And I also have my motherfucking, African American heritage because I grew up with them. I'm an educated black Garifuna. And ain't nobody gonna try to play me or play anyone else in my presence. Now, I gotta get back to work. If you're pissed off, I can't do nothing for you. Have a good day.